The Albatwitch Legend, Pennsylvania's Mischievous Cryptid by Corey Scherer. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but guys, the Albatwitch is a fascinating, elusive creature rooted in the folklore of the Susquehanna River. I probably murdered that name. River Valley in Pennsylvania. Often described as a small ape-like being, the Albatwitch has captured the imagination of locals and cryptid enthusiasts alike for generations. Despite its mysterious nature, the Albatwitch remains an integral part of regional folklore, with sightings and stories that continue to this day. So the origin descriptions, the name Albatwitch is believed to be a contraction of the phrase apple snitch, which hints at one of the creature's most famous habits, stealing apples. The Albatwitch is often depicted as standing about 4 feet tall with a slender build covered in reddish-brown fur. It is said to resemble a small Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but is much more diminutive in size. According to legend, the Albatwitches were particularly fond of the forest surrounding Chickies Rock, a prominent cliff that overlooks the Susquehanna River near Columbia, Pennsylvania. This area has been long considered the creature's primary habitat. The Albatwitches were known to raid picnics, snatching apples from unsuspecting visitors and pelting them with fruit if they felt threatened. The image of these mysterious apple-throwing creatures has become one of the most enduring aspects of their legend. And of course, it goes on. I'm not going to read everything. It does talk about the historical accounts, back to the indigenous people, and they even have a annual Albatwitch Day festival. Of course, why not? Most of these places have festival for it, right? So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, when I saw the picture, I kind of was thinking like this. I was thinking it was gonna be like 8 foot tall, but like 4 foot. That's pretty short. That's pretty short. Now, Stephanie, I'll give you a crack at this. What's kind of your initial thoughts on this type of subject? Like, what are you thinking when you hear something like this?
I find it interesting that so many different cultures have some version of this, like everywhere. This is the first one I've heard of being this small, but I don't know. It's interesting. Are there accounts of people seeing this or like?
Yeah, I mean, apparently it looks like, they even have a day around this. So this is obviously many accounts that's probably happened. Let's see. The Albatwitch. I mean, I better watch what I say. Woo! The Albatwitch may not be as well known as Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, but its place in folklore of Pennsylvania is secure. This small, mysterious creature continues to capture the imagination of those who hear its story, serving as a symbol of the unknown that still lurks in the forest of the Susquehanna River Valley. Whether you believe in the Albatwitch or not, there's no denying the enduring appeal of this apple-stealing cryptid. But it sounds like a folklore, kind of like what you're saying. I would play off of what you said and just say that there's so many areas that have legends like this, whether it's Mothman, whether it's Sasquatch, some kind of skunk ape, Bigfoot, the Yetis, again, the Albatwitch, I never even heard of some of these, but these must be like localized versions of some of these cryptid creatures. So it's definitely fascinating to me.
They're harmless.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is apples, right? So if you're not into apples, then you may not have to worry about this thing. But then again, this thing might rip your limbs off if you don't have apples. So I don't know. You might have to like carry some around with you in Pennsylvania. Like, I'm going to be passing through there soon. I'm not too far from Pennsylvania. So, I might have to start investing in some apples in soup. But Kat, what's going on, Kat? Kat's in the chat. An interesting read. I read the article. I read the article yesterday. It's cool. Yeah. I just thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it'd be something we'd try to touch on. And whenever I have a guest on here, I just love to hear their takes too and their opinions on some of these articles, because some of the stuff's not in our wheelhouse. That's why I love doing this this style. I started doing it this year with the show, and it's really nice to get a different range of opinions on even things, like I said, I've UFOs and cryptids and things that I'm a ghost hunter by trade. I'm a paranormal investigator. I've done, whether you want to call me a researcher, investigator, ghost hunter, I accept any of those terms. And that's my specialty. That's what I've been doing for years. And of course, along the way though, UFOs, anything paranormal, it just becomes par for the course in that sense. But have you ever given much thought to Bigfoot yourself?
Yeah, I have it. I've heard different theories. It could be an alien, or that it could be a shapeshifter, or different things like Skinwalker Ranch. So you remember that? That one was definitely not harmless. That was kind of a violent creature, but I don't know. I've heard a lot of different theories.
Oh yeah, and of course the skinwalkers could be like the Wendigos and things like that. So with Bigfoot, I've always or any of the cryptids, I do feel like, because I may not be like a scientist per se, but I still always try to take a logical approach. I try to use as much facts as I can, or in lack of direct facts, sometimes you have to take many stories and then try to find the truth in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just have to draw those conclusions sometimes. And so when you really look back at some of the first, recorded history from mankind, whether you're talking, the Sumerians and all these things, you go back to these cultures and even the old scriptures, the Old Testament and the Bible, the Book of Enoch and the Dead Sea Scrolls, like all the things that were contained in the Dead Sea Scrolls, like the Book of Giants and stuff. There seems to be multiple cultures that have depicted some type of hybrid creatures, and that's what I find fascinating. Between Egypt, tribes in South America, all over the world in different time zones, that, and even, you can even go to the Greek mythology when they talk about centaurs and minotaurs and, like these hybrid type creatures, Medusa is part snake, part woman. Right. And even though they have these particular type stories that seem more like godlike, but if you really just look at the pure fact of like cryptids being these hybrid creatures, but we have depictions of hybrid creatures through multiple cultures, different places of the earth where they weren't even traveling between. They didn't have ships and boats at those times. It's really fascinating to think that maybe, I try not to be too naive, and I try to think, hey, there's a possibility that maybe some of these cryptids are still around, and they may have some type of supernatural abilities, and that's why we have a hard time to truly capture them or to truly find out the facts behind them. The other thing to think about is gorillas. Gorillas were really only discovered in recent times. Gorillas were a myth, and they were only discovered, I think, less than 200 years ago. I mean, when you think about gorillas, you think like that's something we probably would have known about for 1,000 years or something, but it was a myth. And it was almost like a Bigfoot for, and so when you look at even something like that, then you can start to open the possibility of like, well, maybe these creatures could be real. So, and that's just some of what I've kind of come across over the years. Have you given much more thought to that type of stuff, or does that stuff not really strike your fancy?
No, I think it's pretty interesting. Different theories, that theories that they could be aliens, and I don't know. Definitely believe in aliens. There's, we're not that special. We can't be the only things out there.